Hello, church. My judge is Shamgar, sandwiched between Ehud, the left-handed judge who beat the Moabites and brought lasting peace, and Deborah, who subdued Jabin, the Canaanite king, and brought lasting peace for 40 years, is Shamgar, the third judge of Israel, who brought peace for an unspecified period of time. There's only one verse that describes his leadership. Judges 3:31. After Ehud came Shamgar, son of Anath, who struck down 600 Philistines with an ox goad. He too saved Israel. Well, that's a postage stamp sized bibliography, if there ever was one. But what an impact he had. Why was that? 3 things. Number 1, he started from where he was. Times were bad. In fact, it's recorded in the Song of Deborah that how bad they were, and it mentions Shamgar. The only other time it's mentioned, it says, in the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the roads were abandoned, travellers took to winding paths, village life in Israel ceased, and not a shield or spear was seen among 40,000 Israelites. And Israel had many enemies, Canaanites, Moabites, and here are the Philistines, raiders from the coast who came to pillage a failed state. They enforced their ability to thieve at will by confiscating all weapons. Shamgar is not a Hebrew name. It is believed he was a Hittite. And Anath is not an Israelite town. It's actually a Canaanite royal title and also the name of a Canaanite goddess. So it looks like Shamgar was not an Israelite, but someone of maybe mixed marriage or someone connected with the Israelites in some way. In other words, what was bothering Israel because of their disobedience with these people coming in wasn't his fight. He wasn't an Israelite. But it had come to his place, perhaps through a raid on his farm, and he fought back. So he had all the excuses. He needn't have to fight. He wasn't an Israelite. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't equipped to fight. But the issue was right under his nose, presenting itself. And that's often how God brings us into ministry. We see what needs to be done. We might feel we're inadequate to do it. We might even feel that someone could do it far better than us. But we start from where we are. I being in the way, the Lord led me. Here I am, Lord. Send me. And then the second thing was he used what he had. He didn't have a sword. It had been confiscated. All great oratory to rally people. In fact, there's no indication he gathered people against the Philistines. He seemed to have simply acted on his own. But he used what he had, a pointy stick. An ox goad was a farm implement, maybe 8 to 10 feet long, sharp at one end, pointed, and at the end like a blade, which was used to clean the plough. He just used what he had. Bill Wilson tells a wonderful story about a lady who got saved at the Metro Church, and she wanted to serve, and he asked her what talents she had. She didn't seem to have any. She couldn't even speak English. So he put her on the bus that was bringing kids in. They had several buses. And she used to sit there with the children and encourage them and smile at them. And she would take a child and put her on the lap, and she would say, I love you, and Jesus loves you. It's the only English she ever learned. She got drawn to one little boy in particular and regularly used to put him on her lap and say, I love you, Jesus loves you. I love you, Jesus loves you. And this went on for months and he never said a word. And then one day, to her surprise, he stammered out, I love you, Jesus loves you. And he hugged her. That was at 2:30 on the Sunday. At 6:30 he was found dead, beaten to death by his mother and thrown in a dumpster. The very last words that he had probably heard was, I love you, Jesus loves you. The boy who never saw love in his family experienced and responded to the love of God. What's in your hand? What can you use? And then, thirdly, he did what he could. It says he slew 600 Philistines. It doesn't say he did it all at once, though perhaps that's what happened. You know, one shall chase 1,000, two shall put 10,000 to flight. No, maybe he actually did it one by one, guerrilla style. I can just imagine catching a straggler from one of the raiding parties. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. He does that until he's got his tally of 600. What can you do that would make a difference? A word of encouragement? Be kind, be generous, look out for those in need. Jesus said that even a cup of cold water given in his name is significant. Isn't it amazing what God can do through one person who is available to him, however weak they are? What can you do? In Judges 3, there's only one verse about this one man, Shamgar. Does that mean that what he did was significant or not? Well, it was to God, and it was to his family, and it was to Israel, because it says he too saved Israel. God working through one man or one woman to change lives is as relevant today as it was then. Will you make yourself available to him?